As as we all are aware about the importance of notice in one or the other sense, we knew that the notice plays a very important part, and likewise the same under Transfer of Property Act, the notice is a very important aspect which need to be understood in detail. So we'll go further. Now, if we take into consideration the definition which has been provided under section 3, then in that case we would find the term notice has been defined in this way. First, a person is said to have a notice of the fact when he actually knows the fact. Got it? When a person actually knows the fact, he is said to have a actual notice of that particular fact, actual knowledge or actual information. Here, the notice means the knowledge or information. So, a person is said to have a notice of the fact means when a person actually knows about certain information or he knows something about that particular, he having a particular idea of that, then in that case we would say he is having a information or a knowledge about that thing, and it is nothing but a actual notice. Another type is when, but for willful abstination from an inquiry or search which he ought to have made, or gross negligence, he would have known it. It is called as a constructive notice. Now, students, you'll find a little bit of difficult language and a sentence framing over here. But again, the meaning is very easy. That is to say, whenever a person is in such a situation wherein under law it is presumed that he must have an information of that particular fact or the thing or the situation, but due to his willful abstination, due to his willful gross negligence, due to any of the lacuna on his part which he must not actually exercise but he has exercised, and because of that he is saying that he is not aware of that particular fact, then in that case that thing is not accepted under law, and it would be considered that he is having a constructive notice of the fact, though actually he is saying he is not aware of the fact, but he is not aware of the fact for the reason he is willfully abstaining from an inquiry or making search which he ought to have made, but he is not making it, or due to result of his gross negligence he is unaware of the information or a knowledge, and because of this it would not be presumed under the law that he is not having a notice or an information or a knowledge about the fact. If such a situation is there, we would say though he is not having an actual notice of the fact, but he is having a constructive notice of the fact. So, while going through this particular definition, which has been provided under section 3 of the Transfer of Property Act, notice in general actually means an information or a knowledge. This information or a knowledge may come to us in two ways. First, the actual notice, and the another one is the constructive notice. If we talk about the actual notice, then in that case, it covers actual facts or the knowledge or the information which we have. But if we talk about the constructive notice, then in that case, the knowledge or the information which we must have, but due to our willful abstination from inquiry or a search, or due to our gross negligence, we are avoiding certain things, and due to that avoidance we are not having that information or a knowledge, then in that case if we are caught in such situation, it would be considered that we are having a constructive notice of the fact. Now, notice in general terms means the information or knowledge of the fact. Suppose, for example, I'll make the study of the notice easy for you. Let's see, if a person has a knowledge about the fact or under the existing circumstances, it could be proved that he must have a knowledge about a fact. It is said to have a notice. So, in the first line of this example, if a person has a knowledge about the fact, it is nothing but a actual notice. Another part is or under the existing circumstances. it can be proved that he must have a knowledge about the fact. So the another part of the sentence, what does it say? There is a existing circumstances wherein it could be proved that unless and until person have this particular information or a knowledge, it is not necessary for him, it is not actually possible for him to deal with this particular situation. So in other words, for dealing with that particular situation or for dealing or being existing in that particular circumstances, it is important or it is very necessary or it is very difficult to accept that a person do not know the things. Then in that case, in that situation, it would be said to have a notice, and that too a constructive notice. The person should have the person should have a notice of that particular fact when this situation is there. Then in that case, such type of a notice is called as a constructive notice. And when we say the person has a knowledge or had an information, then in that case, and we are very definite in that sense, then in that case it is called as a situation of actual notice. Now, while going through the definition and coming to the gist, we came to know that there are two kinds of notice. While going through the kinds of notice, first type of notice which we find is actual or express notice. Now, actual or express notice, we know here the definite information is available to a person is having an awareness over that particular information, person is having a knowledge of that particular information. So such type of a situation would be called as an actual or express notice. Another type of notice is constructive or implied notice. Here the person may be denying that I do not know the things, but under law it is presumed that you cannot deny the same. In fact, while entering into such kind of transaction, you were bound to obtain this particular information, and therefore we would imply that you are having a notice of the particular information or a knowledge, particular fact. And hence, though you may be pleading that there is a will there that you do not know the information, or that you do not know the fact about that particular property or about a particular person, it means you were gross negligence, it means you have abstained from the inquiry or a search, or maybe the reason you are not aware about that particular knowledge or an information. But again, this is not accepted under the law, and we would presume that you are having a notice of the fact, and we would consider the same to be an implied notice, or maybe another word called as a constructive notice. So now let us see in detail what do we mean by the term actual or express notice. A person knowing a fact is said to have actual notice. That is to say, in simple word, person if knows the fact will be said to have a actual notice. For the purposes of bringing binding effect in notice, it is necessary that actual notice must be a definite information. So, if we say that the person was having an actual notice, then in that case, we have to prove that the person was having an actual notice, and only after proving this, we would be in a position to say that the person being having an actual notice is bind by the fact or is bound by the fact. Then in that case, for this, what is important? The information must be a definite information, and this information must be given by a person who is interested in a thing in respect of which the information is given. So the person giving the information must be definite one. The information which is given to the person must be a definite one. The person to whom an information is given must be, actually made known to the fact. That is to say, he should have an actual information and a knowledge about the fact. That is the situation of actual or express notice. For example, a notice to be binding must proceed from some person interested in the thing. If a person who is do not have any kind of interest in the thing, if suppose says something, then in that case, to what extent or to yes to so far as to what extent we are going to consider that particular information to be a genuine one. So whosoever the person who is interested in a thing, he is the correct person who knows about the thing. And definitely when such kind of a person gives somewhat an information to the other, then in that case we would say that the other person is having an actual notice of that particular thing. Next, something very important about the actual notices. So after going through the definition of the term notice, after going through the after going through two types of notice, and something important which we found under actual notice is the notice of fact or the information must be in relation to the transaction between the person. In our last slide, we've seen that the information must not only be definite information but also be given by the person interested in a thing in respect of which the information is given. So definitely the information must be definite, and also the person who is giving the information must also be having the interest or must also be having a knowledge about that particular thing. Not only the knowledge, but he should also be the interested person in that particular thing. Then only we would say whatever the information or a knowledge is given will be having a legal binding. So the notice of fact or the information must be in relation to the transaction between the persons. So the person, when two living persons interchange or their interchange or may enter into any kind of a transaction of immovable property, then in that case both the person should give or exchange the information relating to that particular property. If the notice is not in relation to the transaction, it will not be considered to be actual notice so far as that particular transaction is concerned. Next is the information or a knowledge must be given at the time of transaction, because prior information or information given after the transaction, in both the situations such type of sharing of the information would be an irrelevant so far as the transaction or transfer of property under this particular act is concerned. So important is, whenever we talk about the information which we get from the actual, or which we get in the form of actual notice, then in that case that information or a knowledge must be given at the time of transaction. Why at the time of transaction? For the reason that there may be any change. Suppose if we get an information very prior to the transaction, then in that case there may be a situation wherein there may be somewhat of changes in the property, there may be somewhat of changes in the holding, there may be somewhat changes in the title over that particular property, the measurement over that particular property, the claims over that particular property. Then in that case we would say whenever the information or a knowledge is given, then in that case it should be given at the time of entering into the transaction, because whatever the information we receive after the transaction, before the transaction, or even the information which we receive after the transaction, both become relevant, because they may not in accordance with the actually real situation of that particular property which been transacted from one living person to another living person by virtue of any kind of instrument entered into under Transfer of Property Act 1882. This was held by the court in Warwick versus Warwick matter. Now, if we take into consideration the constructive notice, then in that case, the constructive notice, as we knew that it is under the legal presumption, it is an implied notice which we are having. But due to our gross negligence or abstinence or willful, and this abstinence is a willful abstinence, we want to release ourselves from the search or an inquiry. We do not want to take that effort, and we just simply enter into the transaction, and later on if we discover that something fraud or something cheating, some cheating has been done to us, then in that case later on we cannot say that we were not having the information. In fact, under the law it is presumed that you should have that particular information before you enter into any kind of a transaction. So if such type of a situation is there, then in that case we would call the same to be a constructive notice. Now let us see something important about constructive notice. So constructive notice, a situation where a person does not know anything about a fact, but it is the court who presumes or treats that under that particular circumstances, the person must have had knowledge of that particular fact. Such type of a presumption is called as a legal presumption. And this legal presumption actually speaks about the constructive notice. Constructive notice is like a law provision. It is like a law provision, the knowledge of which cannot be denied by a person. Suppose if you run a car in a foreign on a wrong side, then in that case it would be considered to be a what? It would be considered to be, whether it would be considered to be constructive notice? It would be considered to be constructive notice. Okay. Now next, if you run a car in India on a wrong side, then in that case whether it would be considered to be actual notice or a constructive notice. Under the law it is presumed that you should run the car on a right side, but if you are having a license, it is now legally presumed that you have a knowledge of the fact that what would be the consequences if you run the car on a wrong side. So it would be considered that it is a constructive notice. Now the following are the circumstances raises the legal presumption of constructive notice. Firstly, as we were discussing in the earlier slides, the willful abstination from inquiry or search. Next is gross negligence. Third one is registration of an instrument. Fourth one is the actual possession, and fifth one is notice to the agent. Now let us one by one try to understand how the constructive notice is covered under these particular subheads. First is willful abstinence from inquiry or search. Now students, let's see for an example. Ram, who is a purchaser, if omits to inspect the contents of a title deed. Ram is a purchaser of some immovable property. While purchasing the immovable property, what is bound to be done by Ram? He need to inspect the title deed. From whom he is purchasing the property, whether that particular person is having a right to sell the property. This is important one. So Ram, who is a purchaser, if omits, that is to say, it is willful abstinence. If omits to inspect the content of a title deed, he may be affected by the notice of all the facts which he would have discovered upon title investigation. So it would be considered under the law that whenever the question of title over that particular property comes before the court and the investigation continues over finding out who is having a title over that particular property or who is in a position to prove his title over the particular property, then in that case it would be presumed that Ram was very well aware of the fact that the property belonged to whom, and therefore this is nothing but an example of having a constructive notice. Ram, who is a purchaser, if omits to inspect the contents of a title deed, he may be affected by the notice of all the facts which he may be affected by the information or knowledge of all the facts which he would have discovered upon the title investigation. Now come to next, that is gross negligence. Now suppose for example when Ram is buying a property, he is told that title deed of the property are with a bank for safe custody. Right? Ram is buying a property and he is told that title deed of the property are with a bank for safe custody. He should inquire from the bank because if he in turn, if he if it turns out later that the deeds were actually pledged with the bank, it would amount to a gross negligence. If he do not try to find out at the time when he was buying a property and he did not inquire before the bank that whether the property is definitely with the bank or not, then in that case, and later on if we found out that it is not actually kept in a safe custody, it is not actually kept in a locker, but the property related documents being pledged with the bank, then in that case it would be considered that it is nothing but a gross negligence on the part of Ram, and hence it would be considered that Ram was having a constructive notice of the fact. Now let us see another situation. Now, the third one is registration of instrument, where any transaction of immovable property is required by law to be done and has been effected by registered instrument. Any person acquiring such property or a part of or a share or interest in such a property shall be deemed to have a notice of such instrument as from the date of registration itself. Let us see once more, where any transaction of immovable property is required by the law to be or has been effected by registered instrument. Suppose if you enter into a transaction relating to immovable property, then in that case, while going through the earlier information provided under Transfer of Property Act, I have already taught you that so far as immovable property is concerned, it need to be registered under the Registration Act, right? So any person acquiring such type of immovable property, or maybe acquiring a part of the same, or maybe acquiring a share in the immovable property, or maybe acquiring any kind of interest in the immovable property, then in that case it shall be deemed that he is having a notice of such instrument. He is having a notice of such instrument, such deed from the date of the registration itself. First of all, we make an instrument. First of all, we make an instrument, we generate an instrument, and later on we register the same, right? So whenever the person is making an instrument, both the parties are aware of the fact of what they are entering into, what they are writing, and later on when they go for registering the document, so at the time of date of the registration, they register the document. Later on, if suppose any of the party says that I am not aware of the fact, does this going to make any sense in it? No. It would be considered that the persons or the parties were having a notice of this particular instrument, that is to say document, legal document, and all the information which is there contained in that particular instrument or a document from the date of the registration itself. The party was aware of all the facts, all the information from the date of registration itself, provided provided all the formalities which are necessary or essential to be considered for registration purposes under Registration Act is fulfilled. Fine. Now, next is actual possession as notice of title. Now, for example, any person who is acquiring any immovable property shall be deemed to have a notice of the title of any person who is for a time being in its actual possession. Whenever we are actually taking a particular property in transaction, any immovable property, we are suppose interested in purchasing any immovable property. The person from whom we are actually purchasing the property may be in actual possession, he may not be in actual possession. So suppose if he is in actual possession of the particular property, then in that case, we should get it confirmed that he is the real owner of that particular property. But suppose if he is not in actual possession of the property, then whosoever is in actual possession of that particular property, we should be aware that the person who is in actual possession of the property is the owner, or he may be his agent, or he may be some another person, he may be the tenant person, or maybe the person who is having a right to sell out that particular property. So whenever we are entering into transaction in relation to the immovable property, then in that case, whosoever may be in under what capacity he may be in actual possession of that particular property, we must have a knowledge of the fact that the person who is in actual possession of that particular property is who. So any person acquiring any immovable property shall be deemed to have a notice of the title of any person who is for a time being in its actual possession. The title may be of ownership, the title may be of tenancy, the title may be of mortgagee, the title may be of a lessee. So any kind of title this particular person who is in actual possession of the particular property may hold so. So whenever we are dealing with such type of a property, then we must be aware about the person's title who is in actual possession, because he may be the owner, he may not be the owner. But suppose if without taking out any search or without making out any investigation, if we enters into a transaction with this particular person who is in actual possession, we may later on found that this particular person is nothing but a trespasser, and hence we would be covered under the we would say net of having a constructive notice, and hence it is very important that whenever we enter into a contract with another person, we must make ourselves definitely aware about the title or the interest of the person who is actually dealing with us and the person who is in actual possession of that particular property. Now, last one is notice to agent. The principle that the notice to an agent amounts to a notice to principal. That is what we knew, and it is based on the Latin maxim qui facet per allem facet per se. This means he who acts through another is deemed to act in person. Here, the principal cannot deny the fact of information or the knowledge. Such information is also called as imputed in notice. So, whenever an information is available to the agent, it would be considered that similarly the principal is also having the information. And if the suppose principal says that my agent did not tell me anything, so I am not bound by the thing, that is not going to suffice the problem, and hence one have to keep it in mind. If there is a relationship of principal and agent, then in that case whatever the act or whatever the information agent is having, the principal is definitely having that information. This is nothing but a legal presumption under that law, and hence such type of information cannot be denied, or such type of knowledge cannot be denied by the principal, and hence such type of a notice is called as an imputed notice too. So constructive notice, actual notice is also called as an express notice, and constructive notice is also called as an imputed notice. So students, we have gone through the notice and its various kinds. We have also seen the legal binding of this actual as well as constructive notice. We have taken into consideration certain examples and also the criteria actually we would be considering while understanding the term constructive notice. Students, we have a full length question over this particular topic, and you may receive a short question also with the heading kinds of notice, but you may even have a specific note for constructive notice too. So I hope you have understood the concept, and you'll be able to write the answer if asked for. And thank you very much. Thanks for attending.